Hello everyone, greetings and welcome back to another video here on our YouTube channel, Tony Sports Games. As always, I'm your host, Tony Sports, and today we will be continuing in our series of tutorial videos for this beautiful game, Draft Day Sports College Football 2026 from Wolverine Studios. Tremendous sim-based college football game, heavy strategy, some puzzle elements, uh, some realistic elements to football as well. Great game. So whether you're just joining us, if you're new to the game, new to sim-based games in general, or if you're one of our experienced players, maybe on our Discord server, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. I see we've already attracted a few eyeballs on our first couple videos we released, so I thank you all for tuning into those. Please, as always, like, subscribe, give me your feedback. It is a gift and it will only help me get better. I've already been receiving some nice feedback from a couple of the guys on Discord, a couple nice comments, so much appreciated to all of you. Thank you. In this series of, also I realized after I recorded our first tutorial video that I said this is geared more for new players, but I didn't even tell you guys where to get the game. So that's my bad. All the Draft Day Sports games are available on the Wolverine Studios website, which I will link in the description. Also on Steam, I'll try to link that as well. Also, if you're new to the game, you have not yet joined our Discord, the Wolverine Studios Discord, please do. A lot of great people on there. Myself, other players, there's guys way more experienced than me. We'd all be happy to talk ball, answer your questions, and I would be extra happy to receive any feedback on how I can make these videos better. So, we're going to continue on in this series. Last video, we talked about the first step pre-season when you first start a new game, and that was doing your training camps. We talked about setting up different schedules for different individual players or maybe position groups. Maybe you're like me and you like to work the freshmen extra hard and then just move them down a couple points here and there as they get tired, so you find out kind of where their limits are and roll from there. We talked a little bit about how your coaching staff and their skills that they have in training and development impact what your players gain through training camp and training during the season as well. Obviously not great on that front for these Kentucky Wildcats. And then we talked a little bit about how the individual players' ratings matter, what the ratings do. We looked on reference the guides on Wolverine Studios website that they have released that help a lot in this game, so make sure you're referencing those if you're just getting started. And we talked a little bit about players' personalities, like our player Hector Fuentes, was it, that actually lost points in training camp, and then we looked at his attitude. His work ethic was low, and not really a shock. So all these things matter. There's a lot of layers to this game. The next thing we're going to be looking at today, and this begins a series of videos on the most important part of the game, my favorite parts of the game, that is what you do before week 1, setting your depth charts, setting your strategy, play calling, game planning, playbooks, and setting up your recruiting board. Absolute best. I know some players don't really care for the recruiting. They kind of like the pro version more, I guess, where they don't have to deal with that. I love it. So I will be spending plenty of time on that as well. For newer players, I want to show you a quick way to bypass everything that we're going to be doing over the next few videos. If you're just getting started in this game and you say, this is just a lot for me to deal with, I want to go baby steps. I want to focus, let's say just on recruiting my first season with this new team. I don't want to take a half hour, an hour, 2 hours to set all my depth charts, to set my strategy, my play calling, all of that. Here's how you can bypass all of that. If I go to my depth chart, offense, Default package. Pick which coach you want to set it up. Say I want my head coach to set it up. Click set. Boom. You're done. I think it's actually set this way by default, so you can just leave it. Or I can let him set the backup package as well. This is just guys that will get in the game if we're way ahead or way behind. I can do the same thing for defense. Let's say I want my defensive coordinator to set my defense. Boom. Default package. Backup package. And special teams, you can do the same as well for your default and backup package. Likewise, if we go to our strategy tab, first tab here is play calling. If you want to control all of this, you can go to custom. You can change the playbook you're using, which I will show you in a bit here. You can make your own. Or I can just use my head coach's playbook, which is preset. Set my run pass weight for each of these scenarios. So on 1st and 10, a higher number means you will pass more. So depending on what type of offense you run, you may want to set these high if you want to pass a lot, low, or maybe I could just trust Mr. Allen and let him set it. So you can do that. Same thing for defense. Then when you go over here to game planning, this is your team's overall, it means your game plan. So if you have your head coach, calling your offensive plays, you may want to let him game plan as well. Although if your offensive coordinator had a higher preparation rating, you could let him handle the game plan, but as you can see, he does not. And if your coach and offensive coordinator have different schemes they run, then you may get best results by having the same guy that you choose to call the plays out of his preferred playbook. You may also want him doing the game plan, because Allen's game plan is probably going to align closer with Allen's playbook than Gene's game plan. Although in some cases that may vary. Same thing with defense. And we can go over what a few of these things mean. Let me go back actually to play calling here. Try to keep this one short, and then we'll dive in more in future videos. So if I have Allen Jefferson calling the plays, if I want to know what is the Allen Jefferson offense, well, I can read a little bit about it. Right here I see his scheme is a West Coast hybrid. If I click on Allen Jefferson, right here it tells me his offensive preferences. Pass heavy West Coast hybrid offense. It will usually give you a blurb about what they like the running backs or fullbacks to do, maybe what they like the tight ends to do, and maybe what type of receivers they like, some things like that. So this is Allen Jefferson's offensive preference. If I want to look at what plays those include, I go back to strategy and I go over to this custom playbook tab. And this is the Allen Jefferson offense. He has 56 total plays, 38 pass plays, 20 running plays, and supposedly he has 3 RPOs in here. Although when I scroll down, I notice only 2. So one of these somewhere is an RPO. It just doesn't say it is. I'm not going to waste time trying to figure out which one it is. So this is his offensive playbook. This is how often each play gets called. As you can see, I already have some statistics here because we played a spring game in which Allen Jefferson was calling the offensive plays. As you go through the season, obviously these numbers will change. How many times you've called the play, how many yards on average has it gained. Standard deviation, that means how volatile the results have been. So if I have an average gain of 5.3 on 4 times called and the standard deviation was 1, that might mean it got around 5 yards every time I ran it. If it had a standard deviation of, I don't know, higher, 10, whatever, I don't know, whatever high is, it might mean that I ran it one time for -1 yard, one time for 87 yards, etc., etc. So You can see your statistics there. You can do the same thing with the defense. Whoever's calling the defense, let's say, okay, I have Merlin set to call the defense. So if you're curious, what does Merlin's defense look like? Here it is. If you click on any individual play, you can learn a little bit about it, whether it focuses on run, pass, or balance, main coverage, things like that as well. Okay. As you go along through the season, you can use this Play Analysis tab to take a look at your results. This is a beautiful data that nerds love. I'd say that proudly, as I am one of them. And then this tab right here, Formations. This is telling us which depth chart you are using for each formation. So right now, I just let the coach do it. So I just have a default package for offense and then a backup package. So under strategy, formations, I am using that depth chart for every run and pass play. Now, if you absolutely do not want to mess with this, especially as you're starting out in the game, you could leave it there. However, to achieve best results, eventually you are definitely going to want to set a different depth chart for different situations. At least one for running and passing. And if you're like myself, you may eventually work your way towards having a passing depth chart, at least one. Maybe you have a second passing depth chart that you use for a few formations. If, for instance, I want a couple different receivers to get snaps, and maybe I have one running package for open formations like shotgun, spread. Maybe I have more outside runs, pitches, etc. in these formations, but in power formations like wishbone, two tight end jumbo, I formation pro set, maybe I have a different running back starting or a different offensive lineman starting. So eventually you may want to work your way into doing that. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, please comment. I will do my best to respond. It is the same for defense. Okay, you can have different depth charts for different formations. You can use the same one, whether it's 1st and 5, it may use this package, or 1st and 2 versus 1st and 15, it'll probably use this one. Pretty minor differences here. I am not in love with this feature because first and short because of a penalty, for instance, is a very different situation from third and short. But, you know, use the tools we have. They're always changing things to make them better. So let's see. We're at 14 minutes. I want to call this pretty quickly. Real quickly before I do, let's take a look at these 3 emails that you get at the beginning of every season. The first one I always look at before I set my depth charts. This is if you're doing it yourself, of course. Team captains elected. The following players will serve as team captains, and here you go. You have guys. Now, in this instance, they elected 3 offensive captains. Nothing you can do to influence this. These usually tend to be players with high intangible ratings. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Personality ratings, which does matter. Take a look at it. Some of these things are very useful. I would not force every single team captain into your starting lineups, but I keep these guys in mind. And if they are the best player at their position, they're going to start anyway. And if it's very, very close, then maybe I'll try to have at least one captain on the field whenever possible. But it's not the most important thing. Okay? So that about does it for our very surface level look at setting our depth charts or how to set your depth charts, how to set up your play calling and game planning. And I think in the next video here, I'll expand a little bit more on this. Maybe I'll look at some examples of setting up a depth chart if I was playing as this team. We will look a little bit more at player types, some of the special traits players can have that you want to keep in mind while setting your depth charts. And then we will get moving along to the granddaddy of them all, that is recruiting. It is the most important feature in this game. Strategy is also important, but recruiting is huge. And I can't wait to spend some time with all of you on that. So thank you so much for tuning in on this video. We'll go a little deeper in the next one. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. I will try to include some links in the description for our Discord, for Wolverine Studios website, for the Steam store page. And other than that, yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.